Thank you very much, Mr. Hamza. I want to express my feelings that about this conference, because I'm going to present about human rights legal of the whole of Africa and representing so let me say something about myself first of all. Just maybe most of you don't know me. Maybe you saw on websites of Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa. So I want to say something about myself. My name is Gaaromaa Waaqasaa. I am the executive director of this organization, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa. So this organization has got a long history. I want to introduce actually a little bit about this organization after, just in order to, before going to my presentation, let me say about this organization a little bit. So this organization was set, or just we organized this type of organization in 1996 back home in Ethiopia. It's almost more than 15 years. At that time, this organization was said as Human Rights League, not Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa. So most of you might know about Urji newspaper. I used to work for Urji newspaper as the general manager of the company. So this organization was created in that Urji office, because the mass violation, human rights violation against, especially against Oromo people and all in Ethiopia in many ways, was at that time at maximum. So we are forced to establish such type of organization. So after 1 year, that means in 1997, all the staff member of OG plus the staff member of this organization, Human Rights League, were arrested, and they were for 4 years in prison. Then were released without any conviction. So after that, we exiled to different countries, most of the staff members of this organization. Fortunately, we got a chance to get to Canada. 4 of us, of course, 4 of us. Then we re-established this organization in 2007, adding the name Horn of Africa, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa. We have enough reason to a little bit enlarge the name of the organization, because we have to, when we are looking the people of Ethiopia, they are running from persecution from Ethiopia to different countries just around Ethiopia, that means Somalia, Kenya, Sudan, everywhere, Djibouti. So Mr. Dr. Hassan said a minute ago that Ethiopian government has got a chance, or managed to control the countryside, even to control countryside in Ethiopia, not only in Ethiopia. The long arm of Ethiopian government is up to Yemen now, extended up to Yemen. To tell you the fact, I have information because I'm working for this organization as general manager, as an executive director. So the Ethiopian security can do anything they like or they wish in the Horn of Africa regarding especially Oromo people, to pick them from Yemen, to pick them from Somalia, from Sudan, whenever they want, from ever they want. So this is what's happening now. So that's why we said Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa, because we can accuse or we can say something about Kenya. When another country comes to Kenya, to Nairobi in the peak, any refugee claimant, anytime, without no question, to accuse Kenyan government, we have to add Horn of Africa. So just to be legitimate. So now Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa has got a long history. So we started in 2007 in Canada. So by now, this organization, actually we are not successful in one way because we could not inspire our people or Horn of African people as much as we can, as we want, or as we wished. There are few followers of this organization. So it's very difficult to attract most of the people, especially Oromos, because of different reasons. In any way, in another way, we have succeeded, and that's what it means. This organization is well known internationally. Today, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa has got a special consultative status with the United Nations. That means we can present anytime, any case to the United Nations state about human rights violation in the Horn of Africa. That is really a success. So, after I say this, let me come back to my paper. It says bad governance, human rights, and the quest for democracy and social justice in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopian perspective. So actually, money has been said by Dr. Kuluma about human rights in the Horn of Africa. By the way, now I'm a human rights lawyer. Because before I was a teacher, high school teacher, university teacher, and a high school teacher in science, chemistry. Because I was forced to, because I worked with myself. I worked for this organization 15 years. So I was just really forced to change my specialization to human rights, because I'm a human rights advocate. So I wrote my thesis on Darfur, Sudan. So I tried to, what I want to say is, I tried to really manage about human rights violation, to know about human rights violation in the Horn of Africa in general, particularly in Darfur. Of course, in what is happening in Ethiopia, because I worked for 15 years. Almost 1/3 of my age, I worked just, I passed on this work. So I really know what is happening in Ethiopia. Still, what is just now what is happening. So when I'm talking about the quest of democracy and social justice in the Horn of Africa, it means that in the whole, as a whole, in the Horn of Africa, people are suffering from the brutal action of their government, especially when you talk to Ethiopia. When you come to Ethiopia, as Dr. Numa said, in Ethiopian history, there were no peace, and even the disagreement which is coming in this with human rights violation. I think the government, for example, if you see that, this is how they are making a decision making, and implementation. That's good. We are talking about good governance or bad governance. That's what it means. When I'm saying about good governance and bad governance, it depends upon what the government decided for its people. It's an actor. Well, government is one actor, of course. It's not only government. The actors are many. They could be many. They can be private sectors can make a decision, their own decision, and the civic organization can make their decision. The question is, are these decisions proper or improper, or are they proper decisions or not? Because if they are proper decisions, the implementation is going to be actually, whether we like or not, should be proper. Or even if the decision is proper, sometimes the implementation could fail. So in general, in Ethiopia, what we can see now is there is no good decision as well. There is no good implementation. There is no good, if there is no good decision or proper decision, there could not be just good implementation. When we are talking about this, we are talking about what the decision which is made in Ethiopia is that transparency? Is that transparent? We are talking about this transparency. When we are talking about transparency, people should participate in decision making. Ethiopia didn't happen, and maybe in the future we don't know, could happen. Until now, it didn't happen. So when we are talking about this transparency, we have to talk about the accountability. If there is no transparency in decision making, there will not be the accountability for that. Nobody can be accountable because the decision which was made was hidden. So today, what I want to show is to show the destructive behavior of bad governance to the well-being of the society. It is very important to start with discussion of elements of democracy. So when we are talking about decision making, the elements of democracy should be involved to make a decision. What are the elements of democracy? When we are talking about elements of democracy, we said about transparency, that is one. The other one is just people should participate in the decision making. They should be given a chance. They should decide on they should participate in decision making, so they can they can put something which is just proper for them. So let me read what I said. The respect for the equality of women and the men in participation of decision making is a key cornerstone of a good governance. That means everybody, even in gender-wise, everybody should be participate in decision making. So if you see, in addition to see to the government, there are several actors of decision making, as I said, and as many viewpoints in a given society. When such actions are taken, it is good governance role to mediate different interests in the society to reach a broad consensus in the society on what is in the best interest of the whole community and how this can be achieved. So in addition, as Dr. Professor Mohammed said, in a country or like Ethiopia, where bad governance are just playing a great role, there is no place for free organizations, especially for civic organizations, and for other organizations as unions. So they are simply making their own similar organizations, especially civic organizations, which we are calling it most of the time GONGO. That means government organized, non-government organizations. So similar, for example, if you take in Ethiopia, we have an organization called Oromo Relief Association before. So this organization was vanished, they disbanded this organization and formed similar organization which is just run by government. So in general, what I want to say is they are not free to move forward or to do what they want to do. For example, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa was just closed in 1997. So instead, what happened was the government is organizing as Human Rights Commission, which is really nominal. So what we can see is last time Dr. Gaaromaa said about the facade, for example, Ethiopia's democratic facade. That means that they are covering what in the country as if the country is developed democratically, as if everybody is participating in the process. So today, let us read what it says. Today we witness when the government of Ethiopia makes loud voice about flourishing of democracy in the country. Of course, everywhere the Ethiopian government is talking about democracy, that Ethiopia is democratic. Everybody can do what he wants. That means the self-determination is respected. Of course, in Ethiopian constitution, there are a lot of good articles, but those articles are not practical. So let me read again. The reality on the ground shows that the undemocratic behavior of the regime is overshadowed by a democratic facade that the regime continued demonstrating for the past 20 years. So, when the TPLF government took power in 1991, in Ethiopia was high expectation from both local and international communities that there would be a drastic change in bad records of human rights situation in Ethiopia under the previous military regime. That means 1974 to 1991. That means the regime. Contrary, everyone's expectation, human rights abuse in Ethiopia worsened, which have been documented by local and regional and international human rights organizations, as Dr. Gaaromaa mentioned, as well as the Western government agencies like United Nations Foreign Affairs. Every year they are publishing about human rights violation in Ethiopia. It's just indicating that there is gross about the human rights violation in Ethiopia, even though the government is claiming that it's democratic. So today in Ethiopia political extrajudicial killings, kidnappings, and disappearances, mass arrests, and imprisonments without court warrants, in extended imprisonment without trials, torture, denials, and everything is there. That means the human rights violation in Ethiopia is just at this time, at this moment, it is worsened from the previous, especially when we see since just May 15, 2005, in which the Ethiopian people showed their determination to exercise their rights of free and democratic election, and which ended in violence with the death of more than 94 civilians. The EPRDF government is very dedicated to not show tolerance for any group. It suspects they are a threat to its power. So at this time, the Ethiopian government has no really just a space for political tolerance. So the best example is that what is happening, what has happened and still happening continuously for many years in Oromia regional state and other areas against young generation of Oromo college students and college and university students, and against political opposition party members. Now, as this, especially in 2011, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa documented about 500 university students were arrested, where around 10 students were killed in Ethiopia. So this means that usually, especially at this moment, the government is focused on young generation. So I want to show you some students who were arrested in 2011 only. So if you see this is my Malawi. Mr. Singh was, I think he was in Malawi. I was in Malawi for 12 months on 1 year. Actually, Malawi is the place where many people are really pushed to live within maybe 4x4 or 4x6 room. So more than 15 prisoners are forced to live in this room. So for maybe within 24 hours you might see outside, or you might go to washroom for 1 hour, or for food maybe just within 24 hours you might have 3 hours to get out from this room. It's very suffocated. So there is a small light to get into the room. So there are soldiers who are waiting or who are keeping the. So these are students who are these among many arrested students. You can see this is from Gaaromaa university student arrested in April 2011. So what is just very amazing or shocking is the Oromo students who are targeted at this moment are A students. Here in North America, we are saying gifted students. So deliberately they are targeted these people are targeted. So they are taking them and they are putting prison, especially in Malawi. From 500 students, only 150 were released. After they released, all the students they didn't go back to the university. They were awarded what? The suspension paper. That means they are already disqualified for just to attend the university. So it means that they are shelved from the university. So these again are my university students picking up in April, the same day, 2011. And this guy is the history, the biography of this guy says that he is all A student, and he is 30 university student. So the same thing, Waaqasaa University, the same day. Gaaromaa is eastern part of Oromia state, very far east, and Waaqasaa is in southern people's region. Waaqasaa, they are saying Waaqasaa. So on the same day, they are taking students from all universities in the country. So the same thing, another student from Arbami in the same month, and again another student from Arbami University, student David. Now these people, we don't know where they are. Maybe they might be killed. So nobody knows where they are now. So let me tell you some incidents with student damage. And again, this one is from the clinical pharmacy that is at Addis Ababa University. From Addis Ababa. It was picked in the same month. And Gaaromaa University. Not only students were picked against this person, the Tacho Birru, doctor, you might have heard about him. So he is from Bako Research Area, Agricultural Research Center. And this guy is a researcher. He was picked from Bako Research Area, or we can say organization, and nobody knows where he is now, by now. So what I want to say is these people are not employees of the government. They are working for NGOs in Ethiopia on different positions. So we were picked in the same day. In the same day, they were arrested. Not in Malawi, not in any prison places. They were arrested in hidden places. So that means maybe in the military campus or somewhere else. Nobody knows. Now finally, these people were thrown outside from where they were arrested. Now they were found in Malaysia now. They are in Malaysia. Malaysia prison. They are in prison in Malaysia. How?
How does that work?
No, not Malaysia. Around Italy, the small. In Malta. Sorry. They are in Malta now. They are in Malta prison. Yeah, in Malta, yeah.
How did they end up there?
Nobody knows.
Malta is
As illegal immigrant.
Yeah, they want to go to Italy. Yeah. So illegal migrant.
Yeah, but they are refugees going there.
Yeah. So this is what's happening in Ethiopia. So now, what I want to say is, yes, we are writing every time with Dr. Trevor. We are publishing as a press release, as urgent action, as demanding them to be released. These people were in Malta and they wrote for me a letter through somebody. So I got their name and we wrote a letter to Malta government. And the Malta government says that they are illegal immigrants. According to our law, we have to arrest them and deport them. So maybe they are going to be deported next week or next month, nobody knows. And again, they are going to get to Ethiopia. So as a conclusion, what I want to mention is, in the past 20 years, imperial government rule, the intensity and the magnitude of human rights violation against nations and nationalities are increasing. So it is really increasing from time to time. There is no relief. So therefore, as we know, in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian constitution, Article 29, especially that is, 1990 Constitution for Ethiopia, Chapter 3, Fundamental Rights, Articles 1 to 28, and the Freedom and Democratic Rights, Article 29 to 44, mentioned about these all rights. So last time, it was in 2010, there is in the United Nations a program called UPR, that is Universal Periodic Review. So on that Universal Periodic Review, Ethiopia's case was seen in 2010. On that on this review, we presented a paper. Dr. Trevor and the Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa presented a paper, and I was physically there in the United Nations. So now the Ethiopian government delegation presented their report. They have to present their report about human rights violation in Ethiopia. So he claimed that 1/3 of the Ethiopian constitution is full of human rights articles. So he said, so we are really more than 80% following our constitution. So now in Ethiopia, the human rights abuse and human rights violation is improved. This is what he claimed. So now we said I presented a paper about the land grab. That is one type of human rights violation. So the question was raised in that office, in that meeting. So you say that you are trying to make a practical, or you are really implement what you are saying, what is written in the constitution. So from NGO like Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa, actually at that time we presented this paper under another organization. So this organization is presenting that in Ethiopia people are just removed or evicted from their land without compensation. Do you think that is not human rights? This was presented forwarded the question for the delegation, and he answered. Of course, we didn't say that we need our constitution practical 100%. That's why we said 80%, just like a joke, because this is from the 20% from the rest. So in any ways, so Ethiopia is a signatory of many United Nations conventions and covenants. We have to respect actually just to make this relief or to give the relief to the people. So what I suggest is the EPRDF government first and foremost must obey the 1995 Constitution, at least what they have written there. And again, the EPRDF government must respect the international human rights standards and instruments, conventions and covenants and treaties which Ethiopia is signatory. For example, Ethiopia in 1994 signed a treaty against torture, whereas Ethiopia is the first country, not first country, it is number one by torturing people. This document I got, there is an organization called TASC in Washington, D.C. TASC is Torture Survivors Organization. So they are documenting about tortures in the world, about torturers, and about people who were tortured. So from their document, we can see that 45% from the world, people who are tortured were from Ethiopia. 45%. That means 55% are for the rest of the country. So even though they signed in 1994, still torture is a common phenomenon just happening in Ethiopia. So again, Ethiopia was signed in 2005 and 2006 R2P. R2P. When you are talking about R2P, it means that responsibility to protect. This is 2005. This was forwarded by the United Nations, and it was signed in 2006. When you are talking about the responsibility to protect, it means that any country should protect his people, his citizens from suffering, from torture, from all kinds of human rights abuses. So this R2P was suggested by Canada at that time because of Darfur case. The Sudan government failed to protect Darfurians. So they say that we have to use this method. If the Sudan government cannot protect his people or his citizens in Darfur or anywhere, the other countries should involve. So it says that the essence is, it has got paragraph 138. On paragraph 138, I will read, a state has a responsibility to protect its population from mass atrocities. When you are talking about mass atrocity, it is genocide is one. Genocide was happened at that time in Darfur in 2004, 2005. And war crime, that means war crime is another one. Crime against humanity and ethnic cleansing. These are what we call atrocity, mass atrocity crimes. So the country, any country should protect its people from this type of atrocity. If they fail to do, on paragraph 139 says, if the state fails to protect its citizens from mass atrocities and peaceful measures have failed, the international community has a responsibility to intervene through coercive measures such as economic sanction, military intervention, is considered the last resort. This is what is written in R2P. So Ethiopia failed, of course, to protect the people from this atrocity. So it is, we are suggesting and we are demanding the United Nations by the name of Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa to intervene, because the amount or the level of human rights violation in Ethiopia is at maximum. Now there is no organization which can participate in Ethiopian elections. You can see like 2010 what happened. The government claims that they won 99.6% of the seats, which is 100% could not happen. So this is the time to intervene. The United Nations is what we are, at least after 10 minutes. So to make clear what I said, in general, this Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa has an ability, not an ability, it just has not the ability, of course, we have a chance to present any type of human rights violation concerning the whole Horn of Africa. And I want to ask you to participate in this organization in different ways. So our plan is to organize human rights lovers or families, just according to their speciality, because when we are under this organization, we can present economic issues, you can present human rights issues, you can present environmental issues. So as an advocate, I cannot, or our staff cannot present all this. So the OSA has got an ability or a chance or really educated people, so we can organize part by part or in their special, in their field, and present all issues under Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa to the United Nations Forum. So I invite you and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
I've just been asked to make this very brief. Thank you very much, Gaaromaa. That was an excellent presentation. Unlike Mohammed, I was given Gaaromaa's paper 15 minutes before the paper, but as I say, I've been asked to make it very brief. I won't go through what Gaaromaa has said about what good governance is all about. I will briefly say that as well as the usual gamut of human rights abuses that he has documented in Ethiopia, the killings, disappearances, detention, including his own, and torture, and that was a new thing for me, what he said about this 45% of torture victims coming from Ethiopia. I'll be very keen to get that reference from him. But as well as those, we have the other abuses of discrimination in terms of resources, education, development, opportunities for employment, and the coercion to toe the party line in Ethiopia. I'm delighted that Gaaromaa has representation at the UN with special consultative status. I'm afraid the Oromia support group hadn't got sufficient paperwork and wasn't well enough organised to do that. But his plea for help is particularly important. We have within this room enough educated, talented people to make a real difference at the UN, and Gaaromaa's presentation at the Universal Periodic Review was fantastic. We saw UN special rapporteurs tearing to pieces the Ethiopian delegation at the UN, and it was marvellous to read that stuff. They really tore these guys to pieces. It was all based on evidence supplied by Gaaromaa and other people. So I would echo Gaaromaa's plea for people to get involved with the Human Rights League. I will leave it at that.
This was very interesting on the ground, in addition to the, historical perspective that we took. This is like here and now presentation, human life, human faces put on this issue that we are discussing here. So I'm going to open for one or two questions. I will, Arfasi, I'll give you 1 second.
Mine is more of a comment. I'm very glad that I heard your presentation today, Gaaromaa, because I used to live in Minnesota, and we've done a lot of things to be activists, protesting rallies, but to know that we do have a voice within the United Nations and we can utilize this organization to get our message out. This really, I'm glad I came in just for that reason. So from my end, I'll try whatever I can do to kind of help and push that, to give us that voice here and keep pushing that. So thank you very much, and
I appreciate
as
that.
always.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work in this area.
Thanks. Another question. Suggestion?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine is very short. We, the people from the Horn of Africa, probably from Africa, we talk a lot. When it comes to practicality, we really don't do anything. I ask you to be practical. We could help the Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa by making a small contribution. As an example, I'm not bragging. Every month I contribute $50 to help him. I wish I could, add more, but it's very difficult. I just wrote a check for 3 months, $150 to help this organization. If everyone contributes at least $10, it will help him a great deal. Let us make it, please, practical. It's good to talk about everything, curse everything, condemn everything, but let us do a little bit practical. $5 will help him a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. A question? Okay. One question, and then I'm gonna end that, and I promise you, everybody will have a chance.
I'm really glad.
I'll give you. Okay. Go ahead. Good.
I'm really glad to know this organization because I feel ashamed not knowing before. But my question is what kind of complaint procedure concerning human rights violations that exists at African level, at global level? If you guys have this much power going before the United Nations, did you guys have any opportunity to go for African Commission of Human Rights to bring up the violation so that it might have some kind of legal obligation backed by a sanction?
This another similar question. Okay, this is a good question. You know, actually we have to get the same status from African Human Rights Commission. So they have got a criteria. The criteria is an organization which can apply for consultative status in African Human Rights Commission. The office should be in one of African countries. So our aim, Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa, was established in Ethiopia, I told you. Now our head office is in Canada. The first plan, which we have on our desk, is to open branch office in one of the Horn of Africa countries. Not of course in Ethiopia. It is important to open Ethiopia because all organizations, especially civic organizations in Ethiopia, were disabled or they are on the ground or already they are banning. So we have a hope or we have a plan to open in one of the African countries, then we apply. So that is more legal to. Of course, I have a communication with the African Human Rights Commission, not only for different or more than 200 organizations worldwide. So they are telling me that they are always demanding that your office should be in one of the African countries. So next, when you go to chart, when you go to budget, we are going to have one branch office in the Horn of Africa. Then automatically we will get the consultative status with them. So just to stop human rights violation, there is no way that one civic organization can stop, but we can demand always. And we have to teach our people about human rights. That's the most important. Nobody can protect somebody's right. Person himself should protect his right. When they fail to protect their right, we have to advocate. We are making it just doing the advocacy. That means we are expanding diplomacy, and we have to tell to the other people they are doing like this because people do not know their right to protect by themselves. So in Human Rights League of the Horn of Africa, we have got three main objectives. The first one is to teach human rights, about human rights, the people, awareness. So if everybody knows about the human rights, his rights, he can defend himself. He's trying to defend himself. And when his brother is just violated, he's not keeping quiet because he knows the right they have to fight. This is what we are doing. Thank you for just asking this question.